right. Well, believe it or not, I am going to try this again. I was recording, I had to stop in the middle of it, and then I had to go back and check something. And then, yeah, it turns out while I was doing that the 20 minutes that I had already recorded did not have the microphone on. So, yeah, there was nothing there, which sucks. So, I have to try to start over, and yeah, I'm not going to remember everything that I talked about, and I got to pull these emails back up. Yeah, I don't even know where I was. I have to start all over. I know I did the Yieldmax single stock tickers Friday night / Saturday morning. I had the ULTY data, and I had it, ready to go, but my iPad was dying, and it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning already. I think I got to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, and then I had to get up for drill. So I decided to put the ULTY video off, and then now it's Saturday night / Sunday morning, and I started working on it this evening, and then I was just going to do the video, but then while I was with the family, I thought, oh, let me read some of these messages, and then I started messing with the spreadsheet, and yeah. I know one day I did it one way because we held the actual stocks, and then we just had a weekly call, and then the next day we had a weekly call, and now we had a synthetic call and put. So then I changed it back to the way we normally do it because my other efforts was wasted. And then today I started moving things around, and it sort of looks similar to how it was the first day, but just trying to change some columns up and some data and everything else, and some formatting and just different things. But I started doing that tonight, and then I thought I was good, and then I started checking dates, and then I found an issue that I had to email Jay about. Thank goodness he didn't respond to me tonight, because I'm going to tell y'all see him out there doing all those interviews and trying to educate everybody and being calm even when he's asked the same question, 50 times, and he's answered it 50 times and probably 10 different ways to try to get the points across. So he's done great with those, but he's also been very quick to respond to emails. And I feel bad. I really just want to email somebody else, because I know somebody else can answer any questions that I have, because mine are going to be very simple questions. But he's been responding, and I hate bothering him. But because of looking at these new ones, especially, I've had to ask a few more questions, and so he's educated me a little bit, and I wanted to share that with y'all. One of the last things I was saying in my other video before I had to stop it and found out it wasn't recording or whatever, but what I can do, I hate to email Jay. He can just give me, like, I don't know, somebody else's number that's maybe not doing as much as he's doing. That way I don't have to keep bothering him. But he's quick to respond. And the thing that I can do is just to make sure whatever information he does give to me, if he's going to spend the time, or anybody there at Yieldmax is going to spend that additional time to, answer a phone call or respond to an email, that the thing that we can do, retire on dividends, max convexity, all what we can do is just make sure we're getting that information out to everybody. And with ULTY being, brand new, and a different type of fund than the other ones, right? There's going to be a few things here and there that are going to be a little different. And honestly, like most of you know, I'm not like I don't know a lot about investments. I don't hardly know anything about options. So this entire thing is a learning process for me. All these months I haven't truly, like, I'd listened to Rod And then Max came on, I listened to him, but I never truly tried to learn and sit down. And I'm a spreadsheet person, so I'm like, I got to get in the workbook and I've got to like figure it out. Like I need all those in depth details and I need to see it and not just hear it. I need to feel it. Like I'm that hands on person, right? So, me doing these videos is, helping me learn all these things. But with these right here, the ulting being a little bit more difficult, or not difficult, but being a little bit more different, things look different, and therefore, then it brings up more questions. But I know that's a long, long thing, but I'm just grateful that Jay is out there to help answer, and his team, any questions. And on Twitter, I get responses from when I send tweets or send messages on Twitter or whatever, X. They respond back pretty quickly on there as well. But now I've gotten like off track and I don't. Let's see. So this is. I know this is like so unique, right? This ended up being my cover thing, and yeah, I'm not very crafty or handy, and I don't really have an imagination and stuff when this things come to you know, these cover photos. Yeah, and that's what I ended up with, and here we are. But I don't even know where to start with these things. I sort of already went through like our different process that we had seen, and I had sort of started with this. No, this is not. I don't even. Oh, this must have been. Yeah, that was the second one. I had these out of order. This was the first one where we saw them actually holding the stock, and then this one may be a little bit out. Yeah, it's not fully. That one wasn't fully done. So I ended up going back and forth between workbooks. So, and then trying to figure out. So I have several different tabs here, even though it's just for a few days. So it's actually in the other workbook. Oh, I know what it was. So I had to. Let me go back here. I needed to go back. I explained in the single stock Yieldmax ETF video, the last one I did for the AMZ, Apley, all of those, that there was an issue with Coney. When I saw it Friday night, I had reached out to, that's what I was going to do, is find that email. I reached out to Jay and, let him know, because when I was going through it in the video, if you had watched it, I just happened to notice that the strike price appeared different. So then I went and compared, and sure enough, there were trades where they closed out their synthetic call put and the weekly call, but they weren't on the trade. So then that way, the rest of the video, and then I went back and just made sure there was no other issues. Well, for the single stock ETFs, there was only Coney, but for ULTY, none of those were there. So I had reached out to Jay, and he responded with that there was a problem with the daily trade upload. But because when I'd emailed him, that was like 10 or so o'clock at night, unfortunately, there was nothing that they could do at that point to get that done, and he did apologize for that. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I'd reached out, and he did have that quick response. Like I said, it was fairly late, 10 or 11 o'clock. But so we had that. Like I said, it bleeds over into this video. And then when I got these trades yesterday, oh no, I just remembered the main issue. So new information for these, right? Because I keep saying they're different. And sorry if I repeat myself a few times, because now I don't know if I said it in the last video that I did or if I said it in this video. So I greatly apologize, and it's 1:30 in the morning. Normally, we would see on the Yieldmax side, when Rod goes over, Retire on Dividends goes over those trades for Tesla and Coney that he's been doing for all these months, right? You would always see that those, now I went in a while ago and went and found one to show you so you could get an example of what I'm talking about. I'm a visual person. I'm sure there's some of you here too. Okay, so like GUI, this was the one I showed a second ago. Right here. Let me pull that down so you can see it. So this position was closed out. This one expired on March 1st. But they can't just let it, just expire. They need to actually, buy them back in this case. So buy to close. And it costs 2 cents. So all the ones you see, they're at least 1 cent every single time to close these out. They don't just fall off and they're not listed here. So in this case it was 2 cents a share. So it cost almost $2,000 there. So with the ULTY here, if we get, man, I gotta swap back. I'm so sorry because I had moved back over here to this spreadsheet because you think I've done this once and I'd already know where I needed to go. But this is the last one we went over here. And if we look, all of these reds that we did, those are the ones that were going to expire Friday. So we had 1, 2, 3, sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we had 11 weekly calls here that were going to expire on Friday. But if you look here, we only had 3 here with the March 1st date. So my initial look at this says we have 8 lines missing. We have 8 weekly calls here that were not closed out. They're not here. So that makes me feel that this is incomplete. So, I'm going through it and looking, and this was yesterday. And I sent Jay an email, and I said, hey, this doesn't appear to look right. There appear to be trades missing, blah, 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 blah. So a few minutes later, he emails me back, and he said that it was correct and that they just let those options expire. Now, I will say, in between this, I had already messaged in the Discord and tagged Max Convexity and Retire on Dividends and asked them, are they always, I was trying to hit it from multiple angles just to make sure, because I got to make sure the data's right, or check for any, discrepancies or issues, possibilities. I like to try to catch them before I get on the video. But anyway, I guess long story short is for the Defiance ones, Max says they just let them expire, and then for Retire on Dividends, saying no, they always pay to close them out. But then I continued, and then I got the email from Jay that said that for these, that they let those options expire, and that's why they're not showing up on a trade on here, because they're not a trade. So then, of course, I responded back with, well, I'm used to seeing, on the other ones with the trades at Tesla and Coney that Rod would do, that they always had to pay to close them out, whether it was 1 cent or not. And so that's when he came back. So he's educating me at this point, all right? And I really feel bad if it was out there in the prospectus or somewhere and I just don't know because I didn't take the time to read, which I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back. I'm going to watch all their interviews. I'm going to reread everything, because doing this, listening to somebody tell you things and you just casually listening to all the videos and stuff that Retire on Dividends, that's one thing. But when you actually try to go in and do this stuff and learn this and get the hands-on and pull the trades and do all these other things, it's a totally different beast, right? So like all the interviews that I watch, every interview with Sylvia and Jay, and taking in that information, I want to rewatch them, with the new lens, and I want to take notes. So I am going to do that at some point, and I'm going to go back and reread through all the prospectus, because I really like want to know. I want to know the ins and outs, right? I feel like I'm skimming the surface too much here, and I feel like most of the people that watch my stuff already have an idea of what's going on because they watch rods, right? They so I do take for granted for some of you that are watching, because I know this was mentioned also. I don't have as many teaching moments through my videos because Rod and Max do a lot of that, and if you're watching me, it's because you watch one of them. And I am doing 18 different tickers, right? 18 different ETFs. So I don't have time to really go in depth line by line, and cell by cell, and read every little thing. It already has taken a long time to get through these, right? This one I know is going to be longer because of lots of information. And then at the ones at the end of the week are always going to be longer because there's a lot more trades, and it takes a lot of work. So it's a little bit more difficult, but yeah, we'll figure things out. But sorry, so I got off on that. Anyway, back to the email that Jay sent back. He was telling me that was correct. In those single name ETFs, the single stock ETFs in general, they can't hold the long or short stock. So to be safe, they trade out of them as soon as they're to be like worthless, right? So like the 1 cent ones, the 2 cent, as soon as they can get there, then they can go ahead and sell them and close them. And what that means is they got to keep, when they sold them, they got to keep the premium up front. And now when they close them out, even if it's for a penny or whatever, it costs, like this one was $30 for 30 contracts. That it was a tiny bit of money to close it out, but they made all that money on the front end. So they basically got to keep that versus, when it doesn't work out so well and they have to pay to close those. So that's what you see on the single name ETFs. But for ULTY, they can actually hold the stock. And if I remember correctly, I think it was one of the interviews that he had stated they can do either or. They can do the synthetic positions that they did after, well, I guess day one of trading. It was out there. They did the trades that day to get those synthetic positions, but they can actually, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling my words to try to get out what I'm trying to say. I believe what I heard said was that they can hold the stock or do a synthetic position, whichever they feel is appropriate at the time or the cheapest. But either way, they have the option. And so, because they have the option and they can hold that stock, they don't have to close these out like they do on the other ones. They can save money by allowing them to expire worthless, like you would if you owned your own options and you traded options. You don't have to buy them when they're worthless. They just expire and they're done. So that's what happened here. So that's why on this list, instead of seeing 11 closeouts, you only see the 3 that they actually had to pay to close out. And then they also save, he pointed out, by not having to close those other ones out, they also save in those extra transactions costs, your fees and stuff like that. But another thing that he brought up, because, I brought up, oh, well, now I'm confused because that's not how we've been doing them, right? Well, and that's not how I've seen it. So then he brought up another point that he said, obviously, we're not seeing it now, but in the future, he said, you will see, and within the ULTY here, that you will see that they will let long stock get called away. And of course, he states that we haven't seen that, but wanted to let me know up front that that's going to happen now, because I don't know what that's going to look like, honestly, on this sheets. Again, I don't know, because again, I'm new to this, but I will see, and at least when I see something different, then that'll remind me that I had this email where he said this to help me understand it. And maybe if I go back and watch the interviews a little bit more intently, instead of just nonchalantly listen to it while I'm driving down the road or something, that I'll learn even more. But anyway, I really wanted to go through those changes because that is going to be a difference between, there's several differences between the single name ETFs and the ULTY. And then, so next here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, I thought I was good to go. Man, I thought I had covered everything. And then tonight I found something, and then I screenshot it and wrote up the issues, and I emailed it to Jay. I am thankful that he has taken some time off and not feeling like he needs to respond to my email on a Saturday night. But I'm going to go through it with you and show you also. And that's why I actually highlighted this in red. I don't know if that's actually was a March 1 date or if that was supposed to be a March 8th date. But, so DWAC. And you're going to see I have it highlighted on the other tab, and I guess I'm going to have to go over here to this other one. Let's see where we're at. Never know where we got what at. Okay. So it was on the 29th. Nope. Oh, that's right. The trades weren't there. We had to look on the holdings tab to see because the intraday file. Got it. Okay. So we are here. I am talking about specifically these lines. So we have our synthetic call put, and then this shows, let me just make sure, let me look on the 29th holdings for DWAC. So on the 29th, we held the actual shares and then a weekly call. And then for the March 1st one, and these are the beginning of March 1st. Like these are the ones they do the night before, and it's dated the next day. So for March 1st, the morning of Friday, for DWAC, they had, sorry, I was looking at a message that Max had just sent. But right here, it says March 8th. And we've seen this in another instance where something similar, it was JPMO, and we had an issue with things, right? This is going to be very similar to that. So this says March 8th, expiration date for this. This is the strike column, for 50 strike for 30 shares. And then you have your synthetic call put. But I draw your attention to the weekly call. It says March 8th. And actually, so these are based off my formula. So when I send it to Jay, I open it up and show theirs. So if we look at the raw data that theirs has, right, it has DWAC. Sorry, it's doing something crazy. DWAC, and it has 24 for the year, 03 for March, and 08 for the 8th day of the month, right? March 8th. If we go to these trades, the trade says they closed out a position, but it was for March 1st. So if we look over here on their raw data, 24, 03 March, 01 the 1st for those 30 contracts. So they had on the holdings that the contract didn't expire until the 8th, but when they did the trade spreadsheet, they said that they expired on the 1st. And this matters. This is really just worksheet issues, right? You can't really pair off, or they can't match up together because they have different numbers. So one says the 8th, one says the 1st. So then what happens on then the holdings when that happens? I'm not really sure how they have their spreadsheets. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Come on. I use this tab. Nope. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to a whole new workbook. to here. And so this is what I was working on this evening. But if you see these two gray lines right here, so this option date, this is the new holdings, right? This will be from Monday morning's holdings. That's why this says March 4th over here. But on the March 4th one, we still have a line 16 here, that says March 1st option date. And so what happened is, right, we had the March 8th, and then they closed out on March 1, so they didn't pair off. So now we have these two lines, 16 and 17, that, because they're both there now, right? So we have this one. Sorry, I got all these, my crazy formulas. We just basically have both of these. So I don't know which was right, which was if it was the 1st or if it was the 8th, but it was closed out. We just needed those lines to state the same date, either the 1st or the 8th, either one, so they would pair off and basically not be here on this holdings. So my guess will be Monday, because I doubt they'll do it Sunday, but Monday morning, they'll go in. What they did with JPMO last time, they just zeroed out the numbers here. And then they completely removed it for the next day. But as of right now, it's still showing these on here. So I just grade them out here just to show that, yeah, these are here, but this isn't true. This isn't true numbers here for that. So I know y'all probably don't care, and I could have just said, hey, just don't look at these, but just sort of to take you through my thought process. I do that at work sometimes too. I'm sure they could care less either. But I'm like, if I find something wrong, then I'm like, okay, well, it's not like I try to find things wrong, but it's like, oh, I saw this, which then leads me to look at this, so they could see my thought process on what I did from start to finish, and then what I did to fix something. Of course, in this case, I can't fix anything. It's just I send an email, or somebody else will notice it, because I'm sure they have somebody else that's going to, like, at some point, QC's these. Somebody would find it one way or the other. But anyway, so we have that issue. The other thing, it's not an issue, but to point it out, and I know I heard somebody else has seen it too. They went out there and looked, so it's kudos to you. And man, I wish I could. I'm sorry, I've seen so many messages, and I've had drill the past few days. But somebody else had mentioned about how they did not go ahead and immediately purchase the next week's weekly shares. So if you look, if we look here, they closed out lots of positions, but they only opened one, right? They opened a weekly call here expiring next Friday, one contract for MicroStrategy. Usually what we would see is they would, close them out or roll them. I hear the term roll, but I personally don't know if that's the right term or not, or what. But basically, all of these either expired or closed, and then they just didn't go ahead and open up a new position for next week's expiration. Which me, honestly, and I try not to provide my opinion too much, because I don't know much about these. And if I ever provide an opinion, you should really, take that with a grain of salt, right? I'm not an expert in this. That's what the people at Yieldmax are. They're the experts, not me. I know I talked about this in the other video about, because it was mentioned, right? And I want to acknowledge anything that comes through and people ask or say about, but because I'm not an expert, I don't know a lot about these. I do not know the processes on how they go through to choose these and the systems. And though I would love to learn all of those things, don't get me wrong, that sounds like fun, but I don't know what they do and the behind the scenes. And because of that, I can't judge. I'm not going to judge them. I don't know, but I guarantee you they're going to do a lot better than I would. But anyway, if it was me for these, I personally probably wouldn't buy the contracts on Friday for the next week either. Now, that's me not knowing the dollar cost in the system now versus the dollar cost on Monday, and then weighing the options and, thinking it through. But you never know what's going to happen on a weekend. And who knows, they might have not done it this one time, and in the future they may do it on every Friday like they do the single ones. But for this one, they didn't. But the good thing about that is, if something crazy happens this weekend, then they're not sort of like stuck holding all of those they bought on Friday, and then be stuck with them for a week. At least they wait for the weekend, and then on Monday, uh, open them up for that week, and they can see, what's going on, because things can happen in the economy all the time. Okay, so I'm rambling at this point, but I wanted to point that out too, because I'm sure somebody would say something about that. And man, I think that's all the different little things, and I'm sorry about anything that I had mentioned in the first recording that didn't really get recorded, or at least the voice portion of that. So we talked about all of our closing outs. We see we have 3 that were closed out here for the weeklies for the March 1st, and then we had that one micro strategy. So that one they did do. If you look on that first line, they closed that one weekly, and then they did open up the one for next Friday. But the rest of these, they just closed. And in here, you can actually see, so AI, they not only, closed out this weekly call, they also closed out the synthetic positions for those. And there's no repurchases. So you would gather from looking at this, assuming it was 29 contracts, that we no longer hold AI, right? So same thing with DWAC here on the bottom 3 lines. They closed out the weekly call, and they closed out those synthetic positions. Assuming that they only had 30, then that means we no longer would hold DWAC within here. So if we go on over here, DWAC, right? That's the issue line that we had, so that shouldn't be here. And then you can see that the AI is not up there anymore. So let's just go over this just a little bit. Sort of like a combination of the two. The first one I did and our original / the last one I did, right? So the things that we normally see on the left of the holdings is now on the right. At the top. Yeah, left went to the top. I added those color codes here to show, I guess I didn't do the blue one. So I guess if I wanted to show here, which is funny, on my computer it didn't look blue. I don't even know what I guess it's this one. This right here would be the synthetic color. Which I guess in this case, so it's probably not always going to be the same. But I think in this case, all the synthetics are April 19th. I could be wrong. And then I see an NA there. Oh, that's because of that other one. Because the one that's not supposed to be there. So look. All of our synthetics are April 19th. All right. So I can do that for now up there, but it won't stay that way. But then you can see here, so our next expiration date is going to be March 8th. So those were in red. March 15th, we have those in yellow. And the green will be in March 22nd. And so like I said that last week, right, I do not like building things from scratch in front of people, because this spreadsheet could look totally different tomorrow. I might decide to do something, and every day it might change until I get it to where I want, and you'll have to sort of morph with me as we go through this and talk about changes to make on here, just because it's new. But I want to be able to cover it from the beginning and give y'all some updates versus waiting until a file is perfect. So, and then I like the feedback too. So I like, what do you like to see? What would you want to see? So anyway, and then the other thing is a reminder, we had the tickers at the top. I did have that on there last week. We have 21 tickers on here. I guess I could put underlined stock, but it's just the tickers, because if we remember correctly, they said that they usually will hold between 15 and 30, but doesn't necessarily have to fall within those numbers. I still don't like the way I have the left 3 columns, but that's the way I have it right now. And basically, this was, I think on the first spreadsheet, I actually brought the strike price over also. But then I'm like, do I really want it listed on there twice? So I don't know. But right now, what it is we have our strike that's over here because that pulls in with the data. But over here, this is the actual close price. I don't know what that noise was. Sorry. This is the close price on Friday when we closed. This is the difference. Is the difference between the strike in column M and our close price. So we're 91 cents. We have 91 cent buffer there between our close and our strike price. And percentage wise, that's 7.5%. And then we have, of course, the date of the holdings, which will be Monday. And then this underline is ALT. Now, what I did, I mentioned, somebody said they wanted it. I've hidden it, though, because I need to be able to zoom in, especially for those on their phones. But anytime we have a new ticker, we can open this up and we can look to see what these are, right? And I can do a little open and scroll at the beginning of these in case we have somebody new, just so you can see them. And if you want to pause them, you can look at them. But here, so we have the name. Not only we will have the ticker here, we have the name. And then I pulled in, I said the sector, but what I did, as you can see, I pulled in the healthcare, the sector and the industry. I don't know that we need to go that, that low down, but it's here. It doesn't hurt anything to provide it and put it on here. And then I can just close it up. But if we look down through here, I know we'd seen before, like we had a lot of medical. So we've got the top, we have, let's see, let me think through. Yeah, so now that I've put this by itself, I could actually sort these with no issues. Yeah. Or not. It did not. Hold on. Undo. Yeah, okay. It didn't like whatever I just did, and I'm on my iPad. I can look at it on a computer later. So I'm just not going to do that right this second. But look at these. So we said we had 21. There's 1 healthcare, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 healthcares there. Technology, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like half of these tickers are healthcare and technology. You see some financial services. Now, I have blanks. The ones that have blanks on it is because those are other ETFs. So they're just blank. Or I just made them blank because they're not going to pull in the sector and industry. But one of those was healthcare. And then I don't even know if this cannabis, if it's medical marijuana, or I guess then it would be healthcare. I don't know. I didn't look that one up. But yeah. Anyway, I've added that in there. You've got a little look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I did try to make so these weeklies are blue like that because if you saw the way it looked the other day, it was sort of easy to look at them because, dang it, it's in the other file. I will transfer all the data over to the other workbook so we have them in the same place, but I'm sorry that it's not already like that. I'm trying to see which one. This one. It was easy because you had like I colored the weekly, and then the other ones we just knew was synthetic. So it was easy to see, the beginning of each line, and we knew those were 3, 3, and those went together. So it was really easy looking at them like that. But the way it is right now, we don't have necessarily a weekly call for all of these, but we have lots of synthetics, right? So I just went ahead and made that weekly blue. Again, I may or may not keep it. That's just where it is right now. But to go on over, all the rest of this stuff on here is the same. So that was really all that I added in here at the bottom for now. Yeah, I think that was it there. So there's not a lot to go over unless let's just review, I guess, the ones, just those weekly ones that we do have left. So if we're looking here, we have ARM Friday that will expire with the strike price of 150, the stock price at 141.62 with the $8.38 difference, and we're 6% with it as a 6% difference there. Oh, that was the other thing. So, oh, hold on. Oh, I see. I was like, did I change the formula, not drag it? The way I done it that first day when I knew it was like two lines on the left, I just had one line for one ticker and then I'd skip and do the next line. Well, with these going to be constantly changing, I can't just delete formulas from over here because then it would mess things up. So you'll see here on the alt, well, you can see through here, it's just going to have that listed twice. So right now, that's just the way it is. It just makes it easier for the spreadsheets to be able to change daily without having to do a bunch of manual changes to it. So I wanted to bring that up because that was different also. But so we have our arm there. And then if we go on down, I'm going to have to put some freeze paints in there. I don't know if I can do that on the, I don't even need to do that. Let's see. I'm not even going to try on this Google Sheets app thing because I don't even know if I'd figure out how to do it on here. Sorry about that. If this was Excel, I'd have it all day long. But okay, so we went through that one. DWAC's not even accurate. So then if we go on down to, what is that one? GCT. I forgot what that one was. GigaCloud. Okay, so GigaCloud, it's not even this week. It's the following week. So it's 2 weeks away. But the strike price was $40. And my cats are in there fighting. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Oh, well. $40, and that's at their close price on Friday was $39.46, so they're 1.37% difference between that. And that's still got a whole 2 weeks left, so it sort of seems crazy. If we look here at Groupon, it expires next Friday. It's a $20 strike price with the close price of $18.92, so we're almost 6% off on that one as well. We're 6% away from that one, I guess is the way I should say that. It's a little different because I have it set up different than the other. I got to find a good flow with that. But if we go on down, we have the MDGL. It's a laboratories company, I believe. Pharmaceuticals, that's what it was. Lab U was the lab company. So pharmaceutical there in 2 weeks. That one expires 270. I guess I should do the line. 270 strike, 251.63 close, and it is 7% away from its strike price. If we move on down to MSOS, the cannabis ETF, $10 strike price. Close price was $8.87. It's $1.13 from its from the strike price, but it's like almost 13%. So that's why I put those percentages in here, because it can just look a little different, especially when you have those lower ones or extremely higher ones there. If we move on down to MicroStrategy, we have one expires Friday. All right, I guess we only own one share of that now total. I thought there were some other ones, but I guess it makes sense since they only they closed one and opened one, because they would have been closing more if they had more. But anyway, they have the one with the 1,140 strike price. They closed Friday at 1,079.39, and they are almost 6% away from their strike price. If we go on down to I think it's Knox Imaging Nano X. I guess I'm thinking Fort Knox in my head. Nano X Imaging. So let me highlight that. It's a $12.50 strike. It closed at 11.12. We are $1.38 or 12% away from the strike price. If we move on down, we don't have Riot. We have C. Let's see. It has a strike price of $54. It closed at $51.05. It's $3 off of 6%. Sorry. I usually would have already copied and pasted this, so I wouldn't have formulas to worry about doing all this and messing stuff up. If we go on down to SMCI, we have a 940 strike price closing at 905.48. So we are $34 or 4% from our strike price. And then our last one here, TMDX. That's medical. I just can't remember what that one was. Transmedics Group. All right. Let me highlight it again. $95 strike closes in 2 weeks. We're currently at 82.72, and we are 15% away from our strike price. So that's not too bad. And it looks like we have $4 million in cash down there on the bottom. So I know we spent a lot more time doing the other things, but that's because we had a lot of new information. Then we had some issues and sort of to walk through and look at how some of those happened. And then just changing and moving the spreadsheet some. And then, like I said, talking about some of those new things, several new things. And then, unfortunately, sorry, I need to transfer everything into this workbook now that I'm going back to its own separate workbook. But I need to say thank you so much for if you made it to the end of this video, because I know it's got to be very difficult listening to me trying to talk at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning this past week just so I could get these out, because by the time it gets this late, my mind starts going numb, and then sometimes I just forget what I was doing or thinking about at that point. So I appreciate you bearing with me. I promise we're going to get this better. I'm going to get a better battle rhythm. I don't know. It's hard trying to stay up late to get this done. And then I'm waiting on if you're used to the other ones, I'm waiting on the holdings to come out, because if not, I can show you trades. I can just show you these trades, but I wouldn't be able to show you the updated trades after they made the updated holdings after they made the trades. All I would have is still the holdings from the day before that wouldn't show the ones that got closed out open. So I almost feel like I have to wait until these holdings come out to do the video. I think there was one night I did it. I went ahead and started it regardless because it was getting late and I couldn't wait anymore. And I think it was already like 11:30, and then in the middle of it ended up updating. And then I think the other night, Friday night, I was just going to go ahead and do it so I could go to bed, and I didn't. I stayed up. But I do have to, I know Max and Retire on Dividends and several of us within the group, I've got to get in some kind of rhythm and get better with this, because if not, I'm just going to end up burning myself out trying to get these done. So I just don't. Also, the bad thing about waiting until the morning is I might not get them done until 8 or so o'clock. And then, most of you have missed your opportunity to listen to it in the morning. So I'm just trying to make sure I get out timely information that, would be relevant. Otherwise, if it's too late or it's a day behind all the time, then it'd be like, well, how relevant is it for you at that point? But anyway, this video has gone a long way. Thank you again for bearing with me. I greatly appreciate all of those. Again, Rod, Retire on Dividends, Max Convexity, and Yieldmax for all those people that have tagged me or shouted me out or shared my group, and then all of you, because I have seen where it shows me. I don't know anything about this YouTube stuff and the background and all the analytics that really goes into it. I glance at it, I'm like, okay, I don't really understand it, and it's never been my dream to be a YouTube person, right? But it does show me where several people, I mean, like 30 people have shared my page, my YouTube page. I don't know where, but it does show that people have shared it. So I do appreciate it. I've gotten 300, like an 80 something subscribers, or 360 something subscribers. I'm sorry. I'm getting roughly 100 likes on the videos, but it's showing that I have like thousands of views, not necessarily, people watching them, but views and stuff. So at least the information is starting to get out there. The hope for this was, I don't want to duplicate what others are doing, right? We all sort of have our own little niche in the group on who does what. Nobody's doing exactly the same thing. And that was the purpose of this, is to go over those other ETFs that others aren't doing. Because otherwise, you're going to have to go out there on all of these, and you're going to pull all of these yourself, right? All of these from the website, the tradings, the holds for all 18, maybe 20 tickers now, whatever it is, and then try to pull it down and decode it and analyze it and figure it out yourselves. So I know, just to give you an example, at work, somebody says to me all the time, like, what are those budget analysts doing? Like, did they not know? Do they not pull their own status of funds and look at their accounts? And, they should be pulling their own status of funds. And in my opinion, I'm like, yeah, they should know how to, but they shouldn't have to. I'm like, I can pull them for all of them. I can pull all of the data once and generate one status of funds. What you're saying is you want 10 different analysts to pull the exact same data in 10 different reports, 10 different people pulling it, when it's really just one report could have been pulled to do one status of funds instead of all that wasted time and effort. So that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm just pulling it all here, and then now I'm trying to provide that data to you. I understand it might not be exactly what you're wanting at this point, like retire on dividends, is. I'm not giving you an estimated distribution for this next month. I don't have the trades. I don't have the saved data. But for this next month, I will be adding those in, and who knows? Depending on how tomorrow goes, I have an idea for a video for last week to sort of sum up the week and where we stood. At least I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do my first one. We'll see. You let me know. Do you want me to do a video? Because, like, what I've done, I don't have a roll-up or anything yet necessarily of where we stand on all these things. I've just been showing you day to day. But and it sucks, right? Because I'm doing this on the ULTY one and not on the regular Yieldmax one. So everybody may not see this, but do you want me to show you a roll-up of where we were last year on how much money we made for the whole week for each ETF, versus I'm showing you each individual day? Oh, they made this much, but do you want to know that cumulative amount? If so, just let me know below, and I might work on that tomorrow. It would be my first one, and I'd have to figure out how I want to do it and how I want to show it. But if nothing else, I can at least get something done. Just at least pull something together for one video, just to give us something to begin with. And then it's another one that can be slowly built upon, because I need to do something soon anyway. Okay, I can talk all day. I'm going to go again. Let me know below if y'all want me to do a weekly summary from last week for all the ETFs and where they stood as far as did they earn money or did they not. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank you.